While the rest of the world is ensnared with lore, progression, and companions, I have been in the lab cooking up what I think is the most powerful combo to be ever conceived in the lands of Faerun. I present to you the Sorcerian. The Sorcerian is obviously a combination of the Sorcerer and Barbarian. It came to me while I was playing a multiplayer campaign with my friends and realized it had insane potential. I re-rolled as a Sorcerer after feeling really bored and frankly underwhelmed with the Monk class. Now, I'm not normally the type to use magic in these types of games, but I saw a few guides and read up on this class and ultimately decided I'd give them a shot. Not to mention they were the second most picked class behind Paladin. I honestly thought it was an underused class until Larian released the opening weekend stats. Anyway, one of my friends had re-rolled into a Barbarian character and off we went, not knowing we were soon to unlock the insane potential between these two classes. Enough blabbering though, what makes this duo such a powerhouse? Well, let's start with the Barbarian, since this is the main muscle of the partnership. Barbarians are a pretty simple class with most of its utility centered around its rage. There are 3 subclasses within this class: Berserker, Wild Magic, and Wild Heart. We're going to go with the Berserker for this setup since it grants us Frenzied Strike. This is a bonus action that's the Barbarian's bread and butter. However, it does come with a caveat: Frenzied Strain. Each attack with Frenzied Strike will debuff your Barbarian -1 on attacks and stacks with each subsequent use. Now, this may sound like a big negative, and it can be if you don't finish off your enemies quick enough. That's the beauty of this build though, the enemies won't even have a chance for this to matter. These are all available by level 3, so this powerhouse has huge potential pretty early on. By level 4, we get to pick a feat. In this slot, we're going to select the obviously overpowered Great Weapon Master. This is going to grant us 2 things important to this build. In one hand, it'll allow us an extra attack as a bonus action if we crit or kill our opponent, and the other gives us an extra 10 damage at the expense of -5 on attack rolls. All I hear there is free damage. Keep in mind this is all at level 4. Ultimately, this build can be finished at level 5 and only gets stronger over time. At level 5, Barbarians are granted 2 more features. 1, an extra attack, and the class feature Fast Movement. Fast Movement increases your speed by 5 if you're not wearing heavy armor, which won't matter when we're multiclassing, but we'll get to that. Let's count that out correctly. In a single turn at level 4, while enraged, we have our Frenzied Strike as a bonus action, then we get a main attack action, then an extra bonus action if we crit or kill an enemy, and 1 more attack. That's 4 total attacks in a single turn at level 4, and if you've ever seen a Barbarian attack, it's absolutely brutal. Alright, that's a good stopping place for the Barbarian for now. Let's take a look at the Sorcerer. As the Sorcerer, there's tons of utility from concentration spells to buffs to raw spell damage. They really feel like the jack of all trades when it comes to a caster. Similar to the Barbarian, Sorcs have 3 subclasses to choose from as well: Wild Magic, Draconic Bloodline, and Storm Sorcery. I honestly don't have a solid idea on which would be the best for this build yet, but I went into the Draconic Bloodline and opted for extra fire damage. Lightning would also be a decent path to go down since it and fire are linked to 2 higher damage level 3 spells available when you hit level 5. A couple good cantrips to grab along the way would be Minor Illusion, Ray of Frost, Firebolt, or Shocking Grasp. But really, more importantly, let's talk about the spells you're going to consider as you progress with this class. Chromatic Orb and Magic Missile are the obvious first choices, but as you level, you're going to want to take, at level 1, Ice Knife and Mage Armor. At level 2, Cloud of Daggers, Scorching Ray, and either Enlarge Reduce or Misty Step. Either of those are good options. And at level 3, Fireball or Lightning Bolt, and that'll be dependent on your Draconic Bloodline. The most important spell you'll need to take here is Haste. Haste, when used on your Barbarian, will create an unstoppable monster who is basically unkillable for 10 turns. Haste does a couple different key things. The most important being it gives the casted on person an extra action. Beyond that, it makes them travel faster, as well as making them harder to hit. Are you now understanding how incredibly powerful this is at just level 5? No? Well, let me just show you. At this point, the build is pretty much complete, minus the plethora of gear that can be equipped to give you even more abilities or actions. Of course, this build does require 2 separate classes and cannot be achieved through multiclassing, as Rage breaks all casted concentration spells, so be sure to pick up Karlach along the way if you're playing just a solo game. Alright, so let's revisit a Barbarian turn one last time with the addition of Haste. So when you're enraged, we'll get a Frenzied Strike, a main attack, a bonus actions if any of those crit and kill the enemy, which I promise you they will. We'll get another bonus attack from the Barbarian class, and then on top of that, haste gives you yet another attack. This is limitless power. All that in one single turn. 5 attacks, an increased chance to dodge, an ability to move faster along the battlefield. This shit is broken as all hell. The very last step to rounding out this build and making it just outright ridiculous is to multi-class your Barbarian. At a minimum of level 5, you should multi-class into a fighter and put at least 2 levels into it. At level 1, I'd select great weapons as your fighting style for bad roll exemptions, and at level 2, you'll gain the perk Action Surge. This is, you guessed it, another free attack. There's no way this can get any better, right? Well, yeah, but it's much further down the line. At fighter level 5, you'll gain yet another attack. In total, this amounts to 7 whole attacks per turn. Just make sure not to cast any other concentration spells with your Sorcerer, since it will break the haste and render your Barbarian lethargic, canceling their rage along with it, making them little less than useless. This duo build is by far one of the strongest I've come across in the game so far, and I'm sure it doesn't even cover everything. Hell, there's still 2 levels unaccounted for the Barbarian fighter that can be placed in either class, honestly, opening you up to either an extra feat if you put it into the fighter, or additional rage charges and feral instinct if you put them into the Barbarian. Either way you go has insane potential for the unstoppable to become even more unstoppable. I hope this guide helped you get along in BG3, and if you try it out, let me know how it worked out for you. I'll see y'all next time.